Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Hey everyone, thanks for being here and listening to Wellness for Real. I'm your host, Heather Heynen, and today we're going to talk about something that I believe is an absolute game changer, especially for those of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And this is really the power of the mini habit. I talked about this a little bit. I think it was in last week's episode or the episode before about really looking to small, doable daily goals. Doable being the key here. Those really small mini habits that we can start to implement to really create momentum, create more energy with that motivation. You know, if we're really honest, at this stage in life for most of us, that old all or nothing approach just does not work, right? So when we're trying to make changes and we're like, okay, I'm gonna, now I'm going keto or, now I'm gonna start working out every single day for an hour and a half, that kind of all or nothing thinking, it's really exhausting. It doesn't fit our often busy, our very full lives. And honestly, we now know with some budding research that's recently coming out, it really doesn't work. What does work, what actually creates change that sticks, is building tiny, doable daily habits that very slowly and almost in this very sneaky way transform our health, our strength, our weight, our mindset over time. So, I'm going to walk you through why mini habits work so well, how to create your own, and I'm going to, as always, give you a handful of ready to go examples or practical strategies you can start using today to really start to make big changes in your life. All right. So first, why mini habits? Why not go big? Well, when we hit our 40s and beyond, we face a few big realities. We're often just juggling more. So things like careers, families, aging parents, maybe even grandkids. And our energy is not as endless like it was in our 20s. Recovery, so physically and mentally, takes a bit longer for most of us. And habits that require lots and lots of willpower, they just do not last. So many habits bypass willpower. They rely on consistency and motivation is not needed. Remember how we talked about last week or the week before episode? No, we're looking to motivation or energy is often created by what we're doing. And so we want to instill actions that we can stay consistent with to actually build and create more momentum, more motivation. So, a mini habit, I want you to think of it as something so small, so easy. You don't need to feel motivated to do it. You don't need all this energy to do it. It's designed to feel almost, you can almost laugh at how simple it is so that doing it every day becomes automatic. And that's really where the magic happens. So think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait until you feel inspired. You just do it, right? Many habits for wellness can really become the same. I've seen this happen in my life. I've seen this happen in many of my clients' life. It really is something that can transpire and just become part of who you are. So if you want a little science behind this, I like science. I know many of you out there do too. Here's why this approach actually works on the brain level. So every time you complete a mini habit, no matter how small, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. And that's, the reward chemical, but it's also our motivation chemical, right? So over time, your brain actually starts to crave that good feeling and the habit gets wired in. Often people who get really consistent with exercise, and I can tell you this is absolutely for me, this is what happens. It's kind of hard and exercise every day. Sometimes I'm still not motivated, but because I've been doing it for so long, I know how I'm going to feel if I don't do it. I know how I'm going to feel if I do it. And so now, because that's really that dopamine reaction is really hardwired in, it just becomes, even if I don't feel like doing it, it's just this automatic habit to do it. So it really gets wired in. We can use you've probably heard this around a little bit in the space, but habit stacking. It's how tiny changes eventually shift your entire identity. Remember how we talked about that in last week's episode? Shifting our identity has a lot to do with how we think about ourselves, and also taking actions to start to create that and shift that identity is really important. So this is an example. You go from I'm trying to lose weight to I'm a person who moves my body every day. We talked about that too, using goals that are identity based versus outcome based, and how that actually changes our willingness to engage in those behaviors on a daily basis. You go from I should eat healthier to I'm someone who nourishes my body. It's a really subtle but really powerful identity shift. Okay, so let's talk about how to actually build your own mini habits. So, first step, you want to choose one teeny tiny action. It should be so small. You should almost have thoughts that this is too easy. So, instead of I'm going to do a full workout every day, your mini habit is I'm going to do one push-up every day. Or I'm going to put on my walking shoes. I'm really serious. I know it sounds silly, but I'm really serious about this. This is how you get the consistency to stick. This is how we start to shift our identity. So, one small, teeny tiny action. And then attach it to this is step 2. Attach it to something you already do. And this is called habit anchoring, right? So, an example would be after you brush your teeth, which you already have an established habit about brushing your teeth, you do your 1 minute stretch, or that's when you do your push up, or after you make coffee, that's where you fill your water bottle, right? So I have one that I've been doing for a while that works really well for me. I had this goal of I really wanted to hydrate myself first in the morning. Basically drink a full glass of water before I have my coffee and all the things. I don't like always drinking water right away in the morning, but I know if I do it, it's so much easier for me to get my water in for the rest of the day, right? It makes it really easy. Also, it just feels like a win. Same reason why I make my bed. It feels like a win right away in the morning. So I've already got that momentum going for the day. So for me, I always make coffee. I always have 1 cup black coffee in the morning. Well, I have a scoop of collagen in my coffee, but anyway, I always have 1 cup of coffee. And I had this water goal. So my thing was I had my water bottle sitting right by my coffee maker. I make a pour over every morning. So it was sitting actually right by my hot water kettle boiler to boil the water. And I put it in front of it. So every morning, I would wake up, I'm always going to go make my hot water. My water bottle would be sitting in front of it. So that was the cue, the reminder to drink my glass of water. And so before I'd even start my water boiling, I'd fill up that glass of water, that water bottle, only about 8 ounces because that's all I can really get down in the morning. But it was a way to stack that habit to help cue me to remember to do the habit. I would do the habit and then I start my water boiling. So it made it a lot easier to remember to do it, to engage in it. And then step 3, focus on showing up and not the intensity of what you're trying to do. So this is really about doing it daily and not doing it perfectly. So you're really wiring the habit first and the intensity can come later. Again, for example, with that getting a glass of water in before anything else in the morning, sometimes I wake up, my stomach's it just does not want to put anything in my stomach right away in the morning. So it's not always feeling great to drink 8 ounces of water right away. So sometimes I would just drink 2 ounces, just have a couple sips, right? And days are still kind of like that, depending on how my stomach's feeling. So the idea is, again, your thing does not have to be done perfectly. You just want to make sure you're doing it daily and that, intensity around the habit can come later. And then step 4, I talked about this last week, the importance of celebrating. So you need to celebrate immediately. Tell yourself, yes, I did it. I got it done. Smile, do a fist pump, something somatic with your body to really ingrain that dopamine response that is going to create momentum and willingness the next day. It really strengthens the positive reinforcement loop in your brain. Step 5, grow it naturally if you want. So most days you'll do the mini habit, but some days you're going to feel like doing more, and that's great. But you only have to do the mini version. Okay. So let's talk about just some examples of mini habits for aging strong with power and purpose. Let's make this super practical. These are some real life mini habits you can copy. So for movement, again, do 1 push up after brushing your teeth, or stand up and stretch for 30 seconds every hour. Put on workout clothes first thing in the morning. One personal one, because that stand up and stretch every 30 seconds just reminded me of this. This is one I just started about 2 months ago, and it's going really good. In between clients, I sit all day. I'm in the therapy office, or coaching clients, or in therapy with them. And so I am sitting at my job all day long. And it was just like, how can I get a little bit? And I'm always seeing clients back to back. So it was like, how can I get a little bit more movement into my day? So I started doing between clients 10 air squats. Literally takes, 15 seconds. I do 10 air squats between each client. And really, if you think about that, 10 air squats between each client. So basically 10 air squats, every hour, every day I'm getting in, 60 to 80 air squats by doing this. But in the moment, at the top of the hour, just doing 10 air squats, it's really not a big deal. So that's another one you could try. If you're not seeing clients where there's a break for you, or there's a sort of like, okay, I'm done with this client, I'm on to them. If you don't work in that capacity, what you could do is set an alarm on your phone for the top of every hour. And when that alarm goes off, you do the 10 air squats. Okay, here's a few ideas you could take for nutrition. Add 1 serving of veggies to lunch. So I use this one. I'm really trying to get more fiber into my diet. It's a whole other episode I'd like to do on just fiber and perimenopause, menopause, and that kind of thing. But so it was like, all right, I'm not a huge fan of veggies. I don't have a lot of time to eat all the time. And it was like, what can I do? What can I get in here that would be super easy, super fast, all those kinds of things. So I usually just do a cup of cauliflower rice, frozen cauliflower rice, microwave it to unfreeze it every morning, and take it with me to work and just have that at lunch. I've also done just some carrots, easy veggies, but add it to my lunch. Not usually even that hungry at lunchtime for veggies, but it's a goal, and it makes it easy to get it in. That's one. Okay, the other one I talked about, drink 1 full glass of water before coffee. Another one is eat 1 high protein snack each afternoon. So an easy one for that would be to have some healthy turkey jerky. Make sure you use a vetted brand, that has 0 to no sugar. Make sure you have a good, clean, healthy turkey jerky. But just have that, whether you're hungry or not, have that mid-afternoon, and that's going to help get your protein intake in for the day. For mindset and emotional wellness, you could write down 1 thing you're grateful for each night. And you heard what I said, just 1 thing, okay? Not 3 or 5, just write down 1 thing you're grateful for each night before you go to bed. You could spend 1 minute deep breathing before bed. You could do some box breathing before bed, or you could do the relaxation breath. Remember, that's always in and out through the nose. You're going to inhale through the nose for a count of 3, a count of 4, and the exhale through the nose just needs to be double that count. And that's going to help really shift your nervous system into relaxation mode. A great thing to do before bed. It's going to help your sleep, all the things. So, for example, if you're going to inhale for a count of 3 through the nose, you're going to exhale for a count of 6 through the nose. And then another idea would be to smile at yourself in the mirror each morning. If you're like me, you're not going to remember to do this every morning. So put a sticky note on the mirror to remind yourself to do it. But we know that can really get our biochemistry and hormones working in this much more positive space, seeing the positives in our life throughout the day if we just start out with a smile at ourselves in the mirror in the morning. For strength and muscle building, Do 5 body weight squats while waiting for the shower to heat up, right? Again, you might have to use a sticky note to remind yourself to do this at first until it becomes a habit. Another one is to carry groceries in with intention. Focus on posture and strength and holding that core while you're carrying groceries in. Another one could be hang from a pull-up bar for 10 seconds a day to improve shoulder health and just your hang capacity. These seem tiny, but think about it. Like over months and years, they literally change your body and your life. So often, I think, especially as we age, we think we need to overhaul everything all at once to be healthy, to lose weight, to feel strong again. But what actually works, what's sustainable and real, is small, steady actions. Showing up for yourself in tiny ways every single day. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. And the beautiful thing is, the more consistent you are, the easier it becomes. It really becomes effortless. Many habits are like planting seeds. You don't see huge growth overnight, but with a little water, a little sunshine, a little more time, you wake up one day and realize you've created an entirely new life. Okay, friends, that's what I've got for you today. If you try any mini habits this week, I would love to hear about them. Message me or DM me or put it in the comments of any of my social media posts. You can follow me on social media at Heynen Counseling and Coaching. Heynen is spelled Heynen. So Heynen Counseling and Coaching on Instagram. Heather Heynen on Facebook. Think I still have a TikTok account. I'm not even sure, but if I do, that would be Heather Heynen too. Okay, until next time, keep taking those small steps. They matter so much. Talk soon.
The information in this podcast is intended to provide a broad understanding and knowledge of healthcare topics. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered complete and should not be used in place of advice from your physician or healthcare provider. We recommend you consult your physician or healthcare professional before beginning or altering your personal exercise, diet, or supplementation program.
Thanks for tuning in to Wellness for Real, Aging with Power and Purpose. Don't forget to sign up for my free monthly newsletter. It's packed with tips for real well-being, a high-protein recipe in every issue, and exclusive discounts on products and services I trust. You can find the link in the show notes at my website, heatherheynen.com. Let's stay connected. Follow me on Instagram at Heynen Counseling and Coaching. Heynen is spelled Heynen. On Facebook at Wellness for Real, Aging with Power and Purpose, and catch more content on YouTube and TikTok. And if you're enjoying the show, please rate, review, and share it. It really helps others find the support and inspiration they need to thrive after midlife.